Hello there, guys. Welcome. It's Saturday, November 6th. My name is Dave Coker, and this is Talking About Finance. And I promise I'm not contacting you from a war zone. It's some holiday here in the UK. I don't quite understand it, and I don't make the rules, but they're blowing fireworks off, and there's some people pushing through lots of money out there. So, in any case, let's start in and talk about the markets. Let's see what happened. Remember the routine or the mantra? 7 slides for 7 days. Someone called me out. Yeah, they were getting a little bit long. I can't help it. I think and talk about finance all the time. And I'm fortunate enough to be on a Telegram channel we used to have about 40, but now word has gotten out about this, and we've got almost 60 different people, all bankers, all professionals. Everybody's engaged in the markets through a financial institution. And we talk about finance, and I bring the best for you. So let's start out by talking about where we are. So last week, another good week to be owning anything. And I mentioned this a couple times before. Just don't sit there, buy something. Because it does look like share prices and prices all across the board are going up. The S&P 500 on the week closed up roughly 2%, sharp gains on a weekly basis. Overall, S&P 500 is up 25% year to date. And some people feel, I'll raise my hand here, the best is yet to come. We're moving into the end of quarter, end of year type of events. And it's called the Santa Claus Rally. And we'll have to see if it plays out. It generally does. If you take a look at seasonality of SPX, you'll see that it tends to rise in November and December. The VIX dropped down to about 15 midweek, and then it closed up towards the end of the week at 1648. The 10-year closed at 1.56%, down about 10 basis points on the week. Oil's roughly 81, a good run there. Now, what's driving stocks? Well, in my opinion, we know the Fed's tapering plans now, and that's given some confidence to the market. They're not going to raise right away, but they're talking about tapering. We saw encouraging job numbers, about 531,000 jobs added in October. Unemployment fell to 4.6%, at least the official stats. If you follow my postings on DeFi, or probably not DeFi, DSO. If you follow my postings on DSO, I'm pretty critical of the numbers, but let's not talk about that now. Oh, and inflation. It looks like the market's accepting that inflation is going to be higher, and Tina is welcoming us to the party. Isn't that nice of her? Tina, of course, there is no alternative. In other words, you got to buy some stocks, okay? But in any case, guys, a lot of people are very pessimistic about the markets. In the short term, I'm not. Intermediate term, I am. And I love this quote. And I warned you all about the market, about Mr. Market. I've got a very fearful view of Mr. Market. Mr. Market exists, and this is not academic by any sense of the imagination, right? The markets do not exist. Mr. Market is not here to provide a channel, a framework, to take liquidity from where it's in surplus to where it's in deficit. Garbage! That's a pure academic view. If you put money in the market, and if you've been in the market a lot, like I have, decades now, then you know Mr. Market has one purpose. His sole purpose is to inflict the maximum amount of financial damage on the greatest amount of people. And we're setting up for that. Really wonderful quote, and I tend to agree with Mark here. I don't know Mark. Mark, I don't know him, but I tend to agree. It's always been this way. It's not changing because Mr. Market is just what he is. But, one thing I wanted to ask, and we've been talking about this a while, it's like that song, Whatever Happened to Our Rock and Roll? Whatever happened to our money? Now, as you know, I'm a long-term expat in the UK, been here since 97. This is true in the US. It's true in the UK as well. A man could work a normal job, not a high-powered job. And look at that home. My God. Absolutely amazing. Somebody on the Telegram channel said it was a 5-bed. I don't know. I just know it's bigger than what I got. Really wild stuff. But he could still afford a home like that. Yeah. And that is true. That is really true. And whatever happened to our money? Well, this might give us some insight. And again, not mine. Off the Telegram channel. I have no idea who did it. I tried to look at the Bloomberg. I was trying to enhance it so I can get the license number and back into who it was, or just contact them and say, yo, I like your work. But on the left-hand side, or probably the right-hand side, let's start there. You can see we got 1 ounce of gold in 1933, 20.67. There it is. That'll buy you 1 ounce of gold. On the left, we've got 1 ounce of gold in 2020, and it's about 1770. So, what happened to our money? My God. And guys, now you know why I've got some 67%. It used to be 66, but the stocks are gaining. 66% of my retirement money, my retirement capital, is sitting in gold and silver. And I'm about to sell some stocks and boost up the gold holdings. Really, I'm getting very nervous about this whole market. But what is going on there? Regardless, whatever you buy, it could be gold, it could be silver, it could be other assets that have value. How about houses? And as I mentioned to you guys before, I have a fairly large property business in the UK. I don't really talk about the numbers, but it's in the top 5% of flats under management in the United Kingdom. And this is interesting, guys, because I'm a firm believer that you should just buy. Nobody is going to rent you a place at a loss or even at break even. I rent, but in fact, I don't have any debt. But I would not, if I had debt, I wouldn't be renting to these people at a break even or at a loss. I'd mark it up for my time, my trouble, my risk. Because tenants, you never can tell what's going to happen with them. So yeah, when you buy, and you definitely should buy, you should get ready to hold on for a long time. Now, conventional wisdom says don't buy unless you're going to be in that place for 5 to 7 years. Well, I got a problem because as I shared with you guys before, I've got property in 3 different countries, Australia, the United States, and the United Kingdom. I have a bad habit. When I move someplace, the first thing I do is buy a property. And then when I leave, doesn't matter when it is, 12 months later, shortest stay, could be longer, I tend to keep it and rent it out and try to pay down the debt as soon as possible. Yeah, you guys got to do this. This is how you can build wealth. But it's a really fascinating time to try to think about how to build wealth. The markets are so dynamic. So many things are changing. But there are constants. And one constant is definitely home ownership as a source of basically equity ownership. You don't have to worry about it. You'll pay less and you own something as opposed to throwing the money away for rent. Here's another one. And this is one that personally, having worked abroad with the military, I'm very offended about this. And not at the soldiers or anything like that. They're all excellent guys and gals. But look at this. It just keeps going up. And one of my friends grabbed this off Daily Shot. It's interesting. So global defense spending just keeps going up. It's really amazing that we can't break out of this cycle and start to sit down and talk to each other and maybe take care of our people in the United States, in the UK, in continental Europe a little bit better. Instead of pissing through all this money, just building up this military infrastructure that really has one purpose, and it's not really the most socially progressive purpose. I wouldn't support it, at least. So yeah, this has been going on though for the longest time. You can see the chart here goes back to 98, but it's happened before that. And that reminds you about the old ways. And the expression, and I've used it myself, is the old ways are the best. But are they really? Look at this. What we've got here is we've got credit card receipts and other short-term loans for all the commercial banks, and Americans are starting to charge again. Is it good? Is it bad? Personally, I think it's bad. I've got plastic. I pay it off at the end of the month. I don't run a balance. Every now and then, to be totally truthful with you guys, I do, because I mess up or something. I don't really see it, and I don't pay it down. I wasn't prepared for something to hit as quick as it did, and I end up with a balance. But I pay it off. I don't run any chronic balance. But Americans are starting to charge again, and the business is starting to grow. And yes, the credit card companies are encouraging this damaging behavior. How can you save yourself? Well, get rid of debt. Own tangible, real, physical assets. Oh, and own some of this, because you just know. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. Once again, this is from the wonderful Plan B, the Dutch guy, 100 trillion USD. Follow him on Twitter. Amazing predictions. Called for October greater than 63,000 at some point. Yes, it did. Calling for November greater than 98K at some point. Well, we're at November 5th. We're sort of going sideways. Let's see what happens. He's not the only one to make these very bullish claims for December. And as I shared with you guys, if you check out my blog, FinTech Flash News, you'll see that actually some banks, Bank of New York Mellon has done it. I believe JP Morgan as well has called for $100,000 Bitcoin by Q4 2021. If it's going to happen, I welcome it. I'm a long-term holder. I buy Bitcoin every Friday. I bought Bitcoin last Friday. I'll be buying Bitcoin again this Friday. It's just what I do. It's called dollar cost averaging, guys. You should get into it. Try it. You don't have to buy one Bitcoin every Friday. I certainly don't. I buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, not going to share with you how much, but every Friday for years, I've been buying Bitcoin. I used to buy it in the evening, just as an aside. And, sometimes the transactions would take a couple hours to be confirmed. And now I tend to buy it around, I get up really early in the morning, about 0400. I'm just programmed. Bad combination of being a farm boy, investment banker, and working abroad with the military, I guess. I don't know. I just wake up at 0400 every day. Well, yeah, unfortunately weekends too, although usually I'm going to bed at 0400. But regardless, I wake up that early and I typically buy Bitcoin around 0500 or so, 5:30 in the morning, essentially. And it clears relatively quickly, but you should get into that habit too, guys. Doesn't matter how much you got 5 pounds, you got 50 pounds, just use the same amount, buy it regularly, sit back and let these prices work their magic on your portfolio. All right, guys, that's it. You're going to have an excellent week. Once again, don't just sit there, buy something. Get long. You'll be strong. I wish you well. Take care.